Okay, so I want to take a few minutes and talk about design principles. There are four major design principles that we have to take into consideration before designing our site. Those principles are alignment, proximity, repetition, and contrast. So I'm going to give you a few examples of good and bad within each category. And the first one I want to look at is alignment. Everybody needs to align things inside their site. Your site should have, you got to align something with something. All right. Try to avoid center alignment and don't mix alignments. All right. That's why we use a grid system. Like the 960 grid is a good start. And margins and padding and white space are very useful in the alignment process. And like we've said before, white space is your friend. So let's take a look at a couple of sites that are good alignment design and bad alignment design. So now this would be considered good alignment design. Very busy site, but everything lines up. You get an idea where things are, the heading, the sidebars, and all that. So we've got good alignment going on here. Here's an example of bad alignment, where you've got buttons that are off on the side in different locations, and the up here is just a total mess. You don't know which ones are important or more important. You do know that this one here is yellow for free shipping on orders over $100. But other than that, the alignment is hurting. Okay, so that's an example of a bad site. Now, the next principle is called proximity. Proximity is when it's how close things are to each other, right? And when things are close, they need to go together. When they're farther away, obviously they would not relate to each other. So spacing in this case has meaning. It will imply relationships. Like I said, if two items are closer together, it means they're related some way and they belong together. All right? So reinforce those connections with alignment. All right? So, and of course, provide white space to give the eye some rest sometimes. So here's an example of good proximity, where we have our categories off to the left here, and these items in here, they all relate, and you can use colors and to help define your proximity as well. You have your items on the right, which we know are major sections for shopping. And your menu system is pretty uniform, straight across the top. So that's an example of good proximity. Bad proximity is where, if we go to Evil Tattoo, you have a lot of areas that, okay, I've got a whole list of things I have to scroll through. And when you go to any of these designs, we get some ads coming on here. You can see that, you notice it doesn't fit in a 960 grid. You can see how, things are like all over the place, right? The proximity, it just doesn't match. Everything, this pushes all the way to the left. You got a big space here. This is not considered white space. So a lot of violations happening on this page. Not even really pleasant to look at. Option up here about Firefox, some kind of error. So the next principle of design I want to mention is repetition. And repetition is repeating some aspects of your design. All right, it'll help you create unity, and a sense that all the parts belong together as a whole. All right. So it also helps you identify navigation, heading levels, and the overall organization of your site. It will aid in the usability of your site. Don't make visitors learn new structure. Like if you're going to create a navigation bar along the top, keep it along the top for every page. That's repetition. Don't change it up and put it on the sidebar or the bottom part. That way your user will have a better experience, be able to navigate through your site quicker. So an example of a good design of repetition is this cars.com. Now when you go into several pages, you can see, oh, the navigation's still there. Of course they have an ad that popped up, but that happens a lot. So if I go to the buy section or the sell section or the research section, whatever section I go to, the navigation stays the same. All right, go to the finance section. I'll always have, all right, finance is a little different. Oh, there it goes. There's the menu system for the finance. So it's consistent with that. It has good repetition as its design principle. All right. Now, an example of bad design principle is here. Okay. Let's say email member, search, advertise, blogs. Let's see. If I want to go in there and I want to buy a Buick, let's say, and oh, okay, great. Here's some Buicks. But wait, you know, I decided I wanted to buy a different car. Wait, how do I go back to? Oh, I can't click on there. No, it's wow. I have to go through all the Buicks here and then go down to the bottom and place your ad. No, see, this is bad. This is not. There's no good repetition here. And if I went into one of the cars, you know, because I got interested, it's like, how do I get back out? How do I navigate? Oh, I have to go hit the back button. You want to avoid having your customers use the back button. All right, so I have to go all the way back out here. Then I got to say, oh, you know, I was looking for a Lincoln. I don't know. The same idea happening. So we have a lack of repetition along our design to make our site more usable for our visitors. So the fourth design principle I want to mention is contrast. Okay, if two things are different, make them very different. Okay, contrast can be created with color, size, texture, value, motion, dimension. Okay, create yourself a focal point. All right, this will help define what's most important in your site. All right, if you emphasize everything, you're going to end up emphasizing nothing. So be careful of that. So now here's Netflix sites. This is a good example of a site with good contrast. All right, now these are all movie posters, but pretty much you have your main navigation across the top. And if you've been to some of their sites before, you can see that. Oops, I think that goes into the actually larger. No, I was logged into Netflix, so I'm going to back out. I think I wanted to play the movie because I'm logged in as a instant view. But if I was looking for movies, I can say, oh, okay, go to DVDs and drama, and I should get the same type of contrast within here. And you'll see how they use the white areas and then the colored background. They're slightly colored just to take away and emphasize what's in the middle. And the good separation among those. Okay, these are categorized among drama, suggestions for me, available dramas based on real life and such. So yeah, good contrast on that one. Now, an example of bad contrast, okay, you might want to put your sunglasses on for this one, but here you go. Just crazy on the eyes on this one. Just love the cat running backwards. Really great. I don't know what this little drop down way over here is. I'm scared to click on it because it's not really a drop down, because a real drop down wouldn't have a mouse over right on the drop down. That's something to be careful, because what they did is they took a picture of a drop down and created a link on it. So, but yeah. All right. So, anyways, contrast is hurting a little bit here, right? And so the last thing to remember within your design principles, so those are the four principles: alignment, proximity, repetition, and contrast. And the